Hello everyone, Dr. Phil here. I just wanted to make a quick video to show you how to make videos in Linux that don't suck. A couple of key things. First of all, you need to make some decisions and you need to decide things like, are you going to be in a box in a corner like I am here on your videos or not? Now, we'll come back to that a little bit later, but at the start, I wanted to do something kind of unusual. I am actually recording both of my screens. So that's the first thing I would recommend is that you get an external monitor, and this will make your recording a lot easier for a couple of reasons. One of the reasons is that if you have an external monitor, you can much more easily set the display to 1280 by 720, which is the correct resolution for 720p. I am also using VocoScreen, which is freely available. And if you look at VocoScreen, I'll go through the different tabs here real quickly, and then I will switch this video over to the normal mode of only recording my external screen. So the first screen will say, what screens are you going to use? And I have all displays. What's your microphone? Make sure you've ticked the microphone. And here, how many frames per second? 15 seems to work well. Now, if you're doing this for a client, they might have other requirements, so check with them. libx264 is the video codec that you usually want to use. libmp3 lane is the audio codec that you normally want to use as well. You can choose where your videos will be stored, and you can decide if you want a webcam or not. So in my case, I said, sure, you can mirror it. You can also adjust its position, but it's easiest just to put it with the defaults unless you have some good reason to do otherwise. Very quickly, before I switch to the single screen, here I'm running Ubuntu 14.04. You might have something slightly different if you're running a different version of Linux. With Ubuntu, if you click on Displays, you will see the two displays. Here's the external display, which again is set to 1280 by 720. I've recorded hundreds of videos over the last year or so. I've come up with this system, which works well. All right, so I'm back to my normal recording now. I'm just going to briefly bring this over so you can see it a little better. I've said display 2, please. Make sure you select the correct display. You can also give yourself a countdown so that once you click on start or use one of the shortcut keys, you have a little bit of time before it starts going. Again, make sure that you're recording audio. Set your frames according to your requirements. If no one's telling you what to use, 15 frames per second works really well. You don't get files that are huge, and it's decent enough quality for screencasting, things like that. Also, again, choose whether or not you want a webcam. So a little bit more about the webcam. Some of your clients might require the webcam. If you can get away without using a webcam, it is a lot easier for you to edit later. It's a lot easier to just edit the audio and not worry about syncing up with the video exactly if you don't use the webcam. So if you do use a webcam, you want to get some good lighting. So you can see behind me, the background is fairly well lit. I also have a couple of lights that are being used in order to illuminate my face. Now, the other thing that you might be careful about, sometimes if you wear the wrong color shirt, it will come up and it will key off of your shirt. So for example, I have a very bright shirt I was wearing one day, and it keyed off of that, and everything else was kind of dark. Be cognizant of that when you're recording. If you are only occasionally going to show some things, then it's probably okay to hold them up to a webcam. If, however, you think that you might be showing a lot of video of other things, do yourself a favor, do everyone else a favor as well, and get something like a cheap video camera. So here's my cheap video camera. It's an HMX F90 that I got from Walmart for about $100. All right, so it's fairly cheap, nice and compact. Whatever you do, if you do get a video camera and you're going to video anything, buy a tripod. Doesn't have to be an awesome tripod, but get a tripod. Never hand shoot any of these videos. You will be sorry if you did that. Yes, some of the more expensive cameras claim that they will steady your shaky hand, but nothing beats a tripod. And again, if you buy a tripod, you can get away with buying the cheap camera that doesn't have those advanced features. Other things, talking about equipment. So if you want to do this and you want to do it on the cheap, I definitely recommend that you think about the camera. Again, that's an optional thing. If you just want to make some videos, I wouldn't worry about that so much. But what is not optional? Good microphone. I strongly recommend this headset that I'm wearing. It's a Logitech H540 if, again, you don't have any client requirements that would make you use something else. Now, here's why I like this headset. This headset is great at canceling out noise. A little bit later, I'm going to show you how you can edit out noise, but it's great if you don't start with any of the noise. Now, sometimes when you're recording, you might need to use a studio mic. So if you need to use a studio mic, you're going to have to spend a little bit more money. And guess what? You're going to have to do more editing. Now, I have to admit that when I use my studio mic, which I'll show you in a bit, I sound extra sexy and the audio quality is better. However, if I'm just trying to teach you something, the audio quality of this Logitech headset is just fine, and it's a lot less work for you. You can make your decisions about which one you would rather use. Okay, great. So we talked about equipment that you might want. We talked about whether or not you're going to have video. And again, if you can get away without it, do it. So let's talk about procedures. So you can see here that I'm running this, and I'm going to take it on to my other screen. So if you're doing a presentation of some sort, this is another place where having two screens is great. You can use something like LibreOffice to bring up your presentation. And when you're double screening it, I don't know how many of you have done this before, it is so much easier to do it this way, where you can see what's coming up, you can see how long you've been talking, etc. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up a little presentation, and you'll notice that I disappeared from the corner. That's okay. You can just hit Tab and tab back to your Voco screen window and bring yourself back into focus. So this is a presentation I gave on a recently published book on Linux forensics. Some of the cover art is right here. Other tips, if you are going to bring up something in a terminal window. So I'm going to exit my presentation and I'm going to bring up a terminal window. First of all, unless there's a good reason not to do so, full screen it. Also, bump up the font. If you go to Profile Preferences, 16-point font seems to work pretty well. Background. You want a solid color background. Use a nice light color. I know hackers, they like to have their dark backgrounds, which are hard to read. I'm just going to run something really quickly here. I'm going to run a command called lsusb, and I'll show you how you can edit this in a little bit. So here's my command. There's another command. And I'm going to run a somewhat long-running command. Another tip I will give you. I have found that occasionally Voco Screen will truncate the audio at the end of a video. So I, by force of habit, will just sort of ramble for a little bit after I'm done with my real video. In fact, I've even made up a little rambling song. I will not sing it for you. You can do your own thing. So if you ramble for a good 30 seconds, you will definitely flush out any buffers, and you won't have the bad experience of figuring out that your last two sentences from your video have disappeared and you got to re-record them. Now I'm going to show you how to edit these videos using a program called Kdenlive. So I've loaded up Kdenlive. First thing you want to do is grab your clips. So I recorded 2 clips so far, and if I go to my videos, they are timestamped. So there's 2 clips, and I will load both of those. Now notice this first clip looks a little weird because I was recording on the 2 screens simultaneously. It's defaulted to this interesting resolution. You'll notice if you look at these videos, by the way, you can make them taller like this. You can see the audio wave and you'll see some gaps. So you might want to get rid of some of those gaps. Well, how do you do that? You can very easily cut them out in Kdenlive. So what I will do is I will go to zoom level 8 and I will press X, which brings up my scissors, and then I can just go clip, 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 etc. So I can go through and you can decide how aggressive you want to get. And this is a good thing. This is a good thing because it will shorten up your videos by quite a bit. Nobody wants to watch you type or watch you wait for results from a long-running program. So you can use Kdenlive to take out some of these pauses, and it'll make your videos sound a lot more professional and better. I'll show you how you can speed up other portions of your video here in a little bit when I get into the next segment of video. So notice how the end of this video, how the sound just goes flat. That indicates to me that most likely this cut off the audio at the end. So that is the reason why you want to ramble for a few seconds, say 30 seconds at the end, and then you know it won't truncate anything important. So once you've cut all the things that you want to remove, now if you press S, you can also go to your tools and select the different tools, the razor tool, which we had before, or the selection tool S, and you can go back, click on things, hit delete, click delete, and go through and do that. Once you've removed all the chunks that you know you don't want, you can now press M, and that will give you this cursor. Now this cursor is good because it can drag everything to the right. So see, I'm just dragging, clicking and dragging, and I'm getting rid of all of these gaps. You can also right-click between the gap and say remove space, whichever you find more convenient. Once that's done, you can start previewing your video like so. Just select an area, hit play. All right, so here we have our video that I've edited. Now, I haven't finished editing this, but I just wanted to show you how this works. So once you've finished editing your video and you have everything exactly the way that you want, you're going to want to render it, and then you can import this into Audacity, and you can use Audacity to remove remnants of noise. So I will show you how to do that right now. So to render, just select render. We will rescale. Now normally you wouldn't do this, but I will rescale to 1280 by 720. Now the reason that I'm doing this is because I have this odd resolution that came about from combining these 2 different videos. So again, normally if you have just one resolution and it's 720p with a certain frame rate, as soon as you drop that in, that is what you're going to get. So I will render this as Linux videos that don't suck. Click on render. Now the time it takes to render is going to vary widely, and it will depend on things such as are you rescaling it, etc. So here is how you can edit out background noise in Audacity. First, just open it up, and you can open up your MP4 file directly. What you want to do is you want to zoom until you get to where you can see individual seconds listed. So about here, and then make your screen taller. Find a quiet spot, select that spot, go to Effect, Noise Removal, get Noise Profile, click somewhere else to select Nothing, Effect, Noise Removal, OK. So now, when you play your audio, it should be noise-free. If you have other places where you think you're getting some noise, you can repeat this process. Now, if you have a particular noise, maybe there was a bang or something else during your recording, just select the noise you want to get rid of and repeat this step. Again, Effect, Noise Removal, Get Noise Profile, Effect, Noise Removal, and then click on OK. And you should see the line becoming completely flat. You can save your project by going to File, Save Project. That's optional. To get it back into Kdenlive, click on Export, click on Save, and click OK. You can then exit, open up Kdenlive. Now, you have a couple of options here. You can either start a new project and import your already rendered file directly, or you can re-render the old file. Either way will work. The advantage of re-rendering the old file is you don't have some intermediate files laying around that you need to delete, perhaps. And the disadvantage is that you have to wait to render it all over again, which might take a little while. So I'm just going to get my clips. And now I'm going to import the audio, like so. I will click, first I'm going to take my file and drop it. Then I will click on this button to zoom to fit. Take my audio file, drop it in, slam it up against the left side, make sure that it's completely to the start. Click this button to mute the video track, give it a test run. When it's good, all you need to do now is to re-render. So you can re-render the file, and that's it. You're done. One last thing I wanted to talk about. With Kdenlive, you can get rid of silent spots. We talked about that. You can also speed up things. So my general rule of thumb for speeding up things is that if you have less than a second of a gap, I just delete it. More than a second, I speed it up. Find a spot where you're typing and just split the track. So here, I will take this part where I was typing, split it there. So now I have the part where I was typing. Under Motion, you will find Speed. Drop it on. I like to speed it up to about 600%. Seems to work well for me. And then close the gap as before. You can either drag or you can right-click and say Remove Space. And now no one has to watch you type. And that's something you should probably do throughout your video. So this is my setup here. So I have my laptop, my monitor next to it. I also have a USB mic. This is a Blue Yeti microphone with a pop filter, and I have it on a boom mount to another desk. Now the reason I have it set up that way is that this allows me to shock isolate my microphone. What I found is when I use the standard stand, if I had it on the same table, it would pick up noises whenever I typed on a keyboard, etc. And you don't want that. Also notice that I have two of these happy lights. You don't have to use happy lights. You can use something else. And I use those to illuminate my face when I am talking and doing videos where I have the box in the corner. Then behind me, I have lights illuminating the background. So the background is well lit. Now you can choose a background. For me, this is actually my workshop where I build electronics, and it kind of works for the kinds of videos that I do. You know, you can decide if you want to have a nice plain background, if you want to get into that whole green screen thing. Well, that's all for this video. Hopefully you've gotten some useful tips. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them down below. And happy recording and editing!